Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's Stephanie over at Flyleaf and with Miss Kim over at Flyleaf, and it's just us today.
It is. It feels kind of lonely.
It is. And this is Flyleaf Talks About Stuff, where we like to talk about things that we want to talk about.
That is correct.
Yeah. There are a couple times recently where I've been like saying Flyleaf Talks About Stuff, and I feel like it's just like been word salad. Like,
what we're talking about, stuff that we want to talk about. It sounds like Rosanna
talks about stuff. Like, and I would just go round and round. So anyway, I feel like I got it out succinctly today.
You remember Rosanna Dana? It sounds like her.
Yes, I do. That was a good skit.
Okay, so today we are talking about family dinners. Yeah, so I had mentioned to you guys earlier that I had an assignment in graduate school, and what my assignment was to go and watch a family eat dinner. And so it could be somebody that we knew, or it could be just sit in a restaurant, whatever it was, and watch a family eat dinner and see what you feel like you can learn about the dynamics of the family just from the way they sit down and have a meal together. And that idea of family dinner has often been something that I've referred to when I've talked with clients about their family of origin or their family of choice, and using that as an example of a demonstration of a lot of different family dynamics.
Yeah. And we'll talk about family dinner. And it's funny that in grad school, I had something similar, but it was through artwork. And so the teacher had us draw what our family tables look like as family of origin versus family of choice, and talk about the similarities and placements and subconsciously all of those things that you pick up, right? That play out as adults that you carry forward.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I mean, they do tell a lot, like who sits next to who gets to talk, what way do things get passed around. When I was working with a lot with families, I would always ask them or talk with them about, that's a great opportunity to check in and say, if there's kids, tell me one thing that you learned today that you didn't know the day before.
Right.
Or that you didn't know walking into school that day.
And it is a good time to do those kinds of check-ins. I think that, and for some people, family dinner time is family time just to join and to enjoy each other, to laugh, to have a good time, whatever it is. And then for some families, it's a time to eat. It's a time to use your manners. We don't laugh and play at the dinner table. We eat at the dinner table. And there's a lot of rules around the dinner table. And what?
It just brought my sister and my brother and I will always talk about, and we'll laugh about it with my mom because my dad passed. But my sister and brother and I got very, very good about who liked what and would eat, because we had this kitchen table, and right next to it was the window, and you could always see who was outside playing. And so you'd want to like eat really fast, or like just to get out there, right? When kids were able to go outside, and it was just such a beautiful world. But so we got really, really good about who would eat what, so that way all of us could go outside.
So you would like share each other's plates so you could get
would. So if like my brother would eat the Brussels sprouts, Pam would eat, like if there was a meat on the plate or something like that, and I'd eat like the carrots or whatever it was, just so we could go out. Because my parents were the ones that are like, you're not doing nothing until your plate's clean.
It is. It's fascinating to watch the expectations. And I think too, when you get married, how you do your family dinner and how your spouse did their family dinner and family of origin, and how you end up doing it as a family of choice is interesting too. Because if your family was one of those like eat on a tray in front of the TV kind of families, and your spouse was no, we sit down and we have meat and potatoes at the table every day, what did you do as a couple to either compromise, or whose did you adopt? And how does that feel for the other?
Absolutely. Same with like preparation, cleanup. I mean, there's so much depending on the family that you were raised in or how important it was.
Yeah, and I think that it also shows, I think like you said, who sits next to who and what is the dynamic in the family? Who sits at the head of the table? Do you have two at the head of the table and two here, or do you have four here? And it kind of demonstrates some kind of joining. I know, well, and at least with my family of choice and my kids, I was always seated where I could quickly reach the youngest one and put food back on their plate because they were next to me and I would mess with their food. But the way that we're seated is we joke around so that my spouse and I can each reach the kids equally. So if we needed to grab them, we can.
Yeah.
And that one person has to do it all.
Yeah. You'll see, like with my aunt, one of my aunts, she's a very anxious person. And so she will prepare, she will serve, and she will take a bite. And then when people start to transition, when they're done, she's up taking stuff. Like, so she's just like that anxious personality. And so you see how that plays out in families too.
And her chair is probably the one right next to the kitchen.
It is. It is.
So she can go in and out.
It's just funny.
And some kids get up and circle the table. You have some kids that stand when they eat because they're just talking. And, and so for some families, family time is a time to wolf down food and get back to what you were doing. And for some families, it's a time to join. And none of it is wrong. I don't want anybody to think that what I'm saying is that any of that is wrong. It's just an interesting thing to watch the dynamic. Which parent is going to be more strict about eating the food on your plate, or using your manners, or how does that play out? Who's the disciplinarian at the dinner table? And all of those things, it's just like this one little microcosm of what life is like in your house. It's just like at 30 minutes of time that you can learn so much about the just how your house runs by watching and thinking about your family dinner. It's kind of neat.
It is. It can tell a story.
Yeah. So I guess what we're saying is
memories, right? To go back as adults and reflect on family dinners, like just thinking about how we grew up and like eating whatever the other ones wouldn't, just so we could all go out and play and have a good time. I mean, that's fun to think about.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, you have some where the food stays on the stove and everybody goes and gets a plate and brings it back to the table. And then you have some where all the food has to be in a bowl or whatever on the table, and you have family style dinner. I think it's just fascinating to watch. You learn a lot about it, but I think also as a coupleship, it's interesting to see how you bring your family of choice together in that way, because you're bringing in stuff from your family of origin.
Right. Right.
I mean, we do that with like bedtime. We do that with like a TV in the bedroom or not. There's so many things that we try so hard to do differently, that maybe we reject some things with our family of origin because we didn't like how it worked. And so we want to do it different. But then there are some things, the way we were raised, that by golly, this is how we do it because this is how we've always done it. And family dinner is one of those things that you just put your foot down on in so many ways that it is interesting to see that.
It is. And so if you're a therapist, I mean, we highly encourage you to ask, like, what was family dinner like? Who sat next to who? Where was it always at the same time? And it just provides a lot of fun information about somebody. All of those overt and covert messages, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. All of that. And it is, what's the purpose of dinner? Is it to join or is it to eat? And I think during this time when we're all kind of stuck together in the house, people are having more family dinners than probably they used to, because there's not as much to do outside, right? Or,
thumbs up to that.
Going out to eat. I know. Family dinner, let's all come together. And people are
I think we're big proponents of family dinners.
And I hope that people continue to do that, because it is an important part of your day, is to check in and do FaceTime with each other. And especially when you have adolescents who are in their rooms all day, or they're hanging out with friends all day. And if you only get 30 minutes to have some, FaceTime with your person, I think that's a valuable thing. We don't want to give that up.
And what's cool is when you have a kid, like like a teenager, get invited out to go and do stuff with their friends. And I've seen this happen with the different families that we've worked with and couples, where they'll be like, oh, dude, so-and-so asked me to go out, but I told him I can't until later, because we typically eat around 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and I don't want to miss family dinner. Or their friends will want to come over to their house because family dinner is such an enriching environment for them, that the friends want to come over and be a part of family dinner. So.
Yeah, where they're like, can I eat dinner at your house? What are you having?
Yeah.
And yeah, I can go out after dinner, because we have that together. And those are just kind of simple things you can do that kind of bring that join together and that are lasting, like you said, lasting memories. So yeah, that's family dinner.
Big proponents of it. We love it.
Yep.
How do you find us?
Oh, I get to do this today because Allie's not here. You can find us at flyleafcounseling.com, on our Facebook page, Flyleaf Counseling, our YouTube channel, Flyleaf Counseling, and are you ready? On the Insta at Flyleaf_counseling.
Awesome. All right, guys. See you next week.
Bye. Have a good week. Let's eat dinner together.
Yay. Dinner.